down.
Well,
I like the balance of this squad. I like the fact that they've got some domestic competition players coming out to do this. I think that's fabulous.
I think if we're being serious, it's not going to perform as well as the squad did 4 years ago, is it?
No, but McDermott is taking it a different way and he's playing the long game, I think. And this is good for those homegrown players getting an opportunity to go and play in a World Cup. Of course it's good. There's nothing going to develop the game in America and Canada like this. In terms of them going and playing well and experiencing this. If we just had that 4-year cycle that we've decried, where you have 3 years where all the homegrown players come in, and then for a World Cup year everyone's checking passports and heritages and squeezing NRL players in, then it makes a mockery of it. And I like the fact that McDermott has taken this view. He's supplemented his squad with some experienced heads from Australia and the UK, but fair play. The majority of this squad is players from, as we talked about, White Plains and Central Florida and Delaware and Atlanta and all these places. It's fantastic. Philadelphia players, and some Wolfpack players too. Which is brilliant. I'm a big fan of this.
I agree. I just think the fact that those players are supplemented by players from the lower grades in Australia, they haven't been able to attract maybe like a Joseph Paolo, who was very integral to that squad and that team 4 years ago. Is he retired now? I thought he was still playing this year.
Was Paolo not playing for him as well?
Joseph Paolo.
There was not a Paolo.
Paulie.
No, was there not a Paolo?
I think it's Paulie.
All right. Oh.
But anyway,
what do you call him when he's ill?
If they had a halfback out there that could slip in, yeah. If they had an halfback out there or a player who could play in the halves for them that could teach these guys, that would be better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, there you go. I'm frantically jotting down episode titles. Okay, well that is the world. That's the news from around the world of rugby league taken care of. Let's take a look back now at round 7 of the Super 8s. Okay, it's the final round of the Super 8s to talk about, Mark, before we look ahead to the semi-finals, and we start on Thursday night down at the AJ Bell, where Salford were defeated 4 points to 30 by St Helens in front of 2,840. Big crowd, refereed by James Child.
We start with Aidan Stalker, who says, Eddie Bloody Hemmings. The benefit of being a Saints fan is that when the game is awful, you can sit back and enjoy watching Roby play. Walmsley and him are different class. Not sure how we've made the top 4, but I'll take it. Let's see what happens next.
There you go. The Wakey White says, watch this game with assorted Wakefield, Hull and Wigan fans on the Costa del Sol. Everyone praying for a Salford win. Sadly, it wasn't to be, but thought Salford put in a decent shift after some early brain farts. Spelt an end to Wakefield's season, but fully deserved by Saints. Walmsley lucky not to be binned, but Lannan was defo red, and the right result reached in the end.
Frogmore said, Dear James Child, I'm glad to see the money I sent made its way to you. Thanks for the work. Oops, I wrote this in the wrong spot. Honorary performance, but great result. Hashtag Louis Karma reigns again.
Tyler Cass fan says, tough game for Saints, who only pulled away in the last 15 minutes. Love watching Theo Fage, who's so brave and fearless for his size. Ben Barber is up to speed now and will be a threat in the semi-final. Salford played with a lot of spirit. You can't give away that much cheap ball when you're a man down.
Jace McNeil said, Benny Barber didn't look slow or in it for the money tonight. Hashtag we've got Benny Barber.
Yeah, is this the first time Jace has been in touch with us? I can't recall hearing from him very regularly, if at all. So thank
you, keep him coming.
Nice work,
Jace. So did we say?
Yeah, we said he looked a bit slow.
We were
talking about him getting up to speed.
Totally we said slow. He did look slow.
Yeah.
You know, there's no two ways about that. In his first 2 games, he looked slow, and now he's starting to pick up.
But I certainly don't think he's in it for the money. I would suggest he was not on as much money as he used to be.
It's more sort of thumbing it to the NRL because
he's in it for the money he'll earn in the NRL in a year or two's time.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Brian Davies says Michael Carter got this one right. He said he expected about 8 minutes of thinking maybe before Saints pulled away and killed off Wakey's hopes of a top 4 finish. Rugby becoming good as the season wore on has been crucial for Saints. Good atmosphere generated by the Saints bands down the side, but another terrible home support. You have to ask what the point of Salford is. Why put Walmsley on report and Lannan? Wow.
Sarah Mackenzie said, yes, the stakes were high and there was a lot to play for, but I don't think ill discipline was clamped down on early enough, resulting in the red card, which ended the match as a contest. For me, Walmsley's challenge was far worse than Watts' clear hit with the elbow.
And it was handled in the right way, whereas Watts' wasn't.
Well, I don't agree.
Really?
I don't think the right way is to have St Helens retaining possession after...
in terms of putting it on report.
Yeah, but I think it was a... We have a few.
For me, that challenge, skirted the line between going on report and being a yellow card, and I didn't have a massive problem with the referees going, we're going to put it on report.
No, I agree with putting it on report.
Right.
Because at that time, in that speed, you couldn't weigh up. I actually do agree as well with Sarah that it was probably slightly worse than Watts'. Because everyone's defence of Watts was how little time he had to adjust to a player sort of coming flashing into his eye line.
Mm.
Well, Walmsley had no such qualms with that. He lined the man up himself and lifted his arm to fend him off. Now, I don't believe he intended to end up cracking him round the chops at all, but that's what happened. And I think the contact was a lot higher, on Wall in terms of where the collision happened was further from the ground.
Yes, they were both more upright, weren't they?
But yeah, I don't. We have a bit of a problem with a few areas, and this to me is one of them, where potentially not deliberate, potentially not malicious, but certainly direct arm contact with the head of an opponent is treated differently if you're the ball carrier to if you're carrying the ball. And I thought we'd address this with the Watt situation. So I'm disappointed that we've fallen away from that. And if anything, we should congratulate all the players and all the Hull fans who spent the whole weekend on Twitter after the Watts decision criticising it and slagging it off. Because what they've done is managed to get Jordan Wong concussed and no retribution for the player who instigated that situation, in my view.
Okay.
Because he's led with his arm into the head. If you did that as a high tackle, it's a penalty. Whether you came off the shoulder or the ball or the referee is certain there was no malice with it, it's a penalty. And if it's direct contact to the head, which I think there's an argument on this one to say that there was upper arm rather than forearm contact with the head first, potentially. There's an argument in there.
Yeah.
But if it's not direct first time, maybe is the argument, and that's certainly why on report's a better system there, because it can be poured over on the Monday and they've not charged him or anything. Imagine if he was a Wigan player. But anyway.
Fucking hell, you are very cherry and white tonight.
Well, I'm fed up of it. But
we're on that down slope now, aren't we?
And I don't mean imagine if he was a Wigan player, he would have been treated differently by the disciplinary.
No, imagine if he was a Wigan player and he got offered it. I know what you're saying.
I mean, Twitter would have been totally a storm if it was a Wigan player involved in any way, shape or form. But my view of it is it's contact with the head of your opponent that could have been avoided. It should be a penalty. Now, I don't really feel like it was an ill-disciplined, nasty game. I've just thought Salford kept dropping the fucking ball.
It was a bit poor-tempered towards the end of the first half, wasn't it?
But that was after this had happened. Now, up to that point, really what had happened is Salford had executed their opportunities a little bit better than St Helens were able to.
Yeah.
But Salford kept dropping the ball and giving St Helens opportunities, so they were going to get what they deserved from that, I felt, and which was getting beaten, unfortunately. However, by not awarding a penalty to Salford, which I believe is the correct call, would have been the correct call, what it's done is kind of made the Salford players think that maybe they can get away with something. I don't know. But what it's done is led to Ryan Lannon doing something that is completely and utterly unacceptable, fully worthy of the grade D charge he's got, which carries a potential 5-match ban, but I'm sure it'll be lower end in the end.
It'll be a 3 or
4. But in all seriousness, he was miles away from the kicker.
It wasn't even
the kicker had nothing to do with the incident.
No.
There was no jumping around celebrating bullshit like you got in the Hull game against Wigan either about the hit. It was concerned straight away. Yeah. It was,
and credit to Theo Farge because he's an hard bastard, isn't he? And he didn't milk it.
No, but it was ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
The slow-mo footage
and anyone who wants to blame James Child for it doesn't understand or wants to take something away from people being responsible for their own behaviour.
Yeah.
And if he'd have put a late shot on him, but a low late shot, just to sort of kind of feel like he was evening something up, or if he wanted to absolutely leather Alex Walmsley in the face, I would have just given a penalty and said play on. If he'd have done that to Alex Walmsley. But what he did to a player who was completely uninvolved, to a player who was, when he could certainly pull out, was awful.
It's
and
horrific.
You can't blame the referee for Ryan Lannon thinking that's acceptable, because in no field is that acceptable.
No.
He made sure he got him twice. He got him with his forearm, but he also got him with his hand.
Yeah.
He got him with both his...
Mark, I'm not defending the defence.
I'm not saying
you. The slow motion footage of it is horrific. The speed at which it happens shows you the. Oftentimes, when you see things like that, you say to yourself, I say to myself, well, it looks bad slow mo, but at full speed, it's half a second or less, and there's the hit. With this one, that isn't the case.
Yeah.
It looks horrific at full speed because you see the ball away. There's a breaking plate. He takes a step and then he gets crunched. Well, Haraki is coming towards him at full tilt and is in front of him at one point, and he backs off and gets away from it.
Well, he just sort of went into him, kind of. That would be the normal.
Well, Haraki was doing the normal thing that you would do to pressurise a kicker.
Yeah,
and when
settle him a little bit.
And when Wella Haraki is your barometer for foul play, you know that what you've seen is pretty fucking dirty.
Yeah.
So no, he's going to. I should hope he gets the book thrown at him within the constraints of the law. I'm sure he will do.
I hope he learns his lesson as well, because I think he's been quite impressive this season overall, Ryan Lannon.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of it, so I was disappointed in
as long as Theo Farge is all right, then he'll get his ban. He'll do his lumps, and then.
So other than that, which was kind of the main...
Well, they were the main talking points. Ben Barber was everywhere at times, wasn't he? As we've alluded to, he's up to speed now.
Certainly.
Getting involved in setting up, was it Percival's try?
Yeah, and that was very good play by him. He sort of kind of goaded Wellham into getting himself out of position, and then they sort of found the way through. And that came, that was when the sides were level as well in terms of players on the park. I just think, though, after that, Saints never really played very well until the second half, until the last 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes.
It took that to make it safe, didn't it? And, you should be putting Salford away at that point.
Well, it took...
So credit Salford for some resolute defending in that interceding period.
It took Matty Smith coming on to get a structure to their attack. Because when you're playing against a man less, you're going to find, space, or you're going to find men out of position, or men trying to cheat with what they expect's going to do. And you need a player who can organise and be kind of steady. And Matty Smith did that, and particularly his set up for Walmsley's try. That was really good play. And Barber scored a try to finish it off. Is showing a few flashes of pace and stuff. The week before it'd been involved quite well a couple of times as well. So it's very good for Super League that whilst he's got a questionable rep, he's never been charged for any of those things, so we can't put him at his door too much. So I suppose we can just celebrate the good stuff he does rather than slag him off for some of the questionable stuff in his past.
Yeah, fair play.
Unless it's ever put on record otherwise. So it's good to have his skills on display, isn't it?
Of course it is,
yeah.
Absolutely. What did the stats tell us on this one, Mark?
Well, as well as the red card, Salford did themselves no favours with the 15 to 13 error count. So many of those in exit sets as well, coming out their own line in the first half. And 11 to 4 in penalties given up. Going under 1,000 metres and giving up a lot of carries compared to their visitors. as a result.
There you go.
Saints maybe could have done better than 5-2 in clean breaks, but they had 611 more metres, 0.6 metres per carry better average gain than their opponent.